Collier County Domestic Animal Services, or DAS, is the county's only open admission animal shelter. Over 5,600 animals come into the shelter every year. DAS strives to find positive outcomes for all of the adoptable animals that enter the shelter. In an effort to increase the live release rate and efficiency, DAS contracted with Maddie Shelter Medicine Program at the University of Florida to perform a review of the shelter to determine how the shelter could improve their overall operations.
The goal of the report is to make sure that we're meeting all the minimum standards of care in animal shelters. There's a publication that was put out in 2010 which outlines all the things that animal shelters should strive to comply with. And so this is help looking at our current operations and making recommendations to where we can actually meet these requirements.
After spending weeks at DAS, the team of veterinarians from the University of Florida provided a comprehensive consultation report with their findings and recommendations. The recommendations are based on the guidelines for standards of care in animal shelters.
A lot of the recommendations were made to help us realize our goal. We're trying to increase our live release rate. Our goal is to not euthanize any animals that are adoptable or healthy. And a lot of the recommendations that they're making are helping us achieve that goal.
One of the many changes is taking place now as contractors work to augment the isolation kennels.
Right now we're in a project where we have guillotine doors put in our kennels. And this is the kennel where we put our aggressive animals and our bite quarantine animals. So that way it's a safety issue, so staff are able to go in there and clean without having to handle the animals that potentially could cause harm.
Several items from the implementation plan have already been completed, like separating pocket pets from the feline population, the addition of stress-relieving scratch pads for cats, migrating all adoptable cats into the main building, the continuation of working closely with the Humane Society of Naples to place animals, and the addition of key staff.
One of the big recommendations is having an intake coordinator. The goal of the intake coordinator is to work with people bringing their animals into the shelter with the goal of trying to keep the animals in the home. A lot of times people have situations that are out of their control, and our goal is to be able to help them. And the animals are best in their home. So if someone comes into the shelter and they can't afford to feed the animal, we'll provide food. Someone comes to the shelter and they can't afford to have the animal spay and neuter, we'll provide options for that. So that's really important to be able to have that person in that position, so hopefully that will limit the number of animals to actually come into our shelter.
This is a multi-year project, but progress is already apparent. DAS anticipates the project will be completed in 2018. More great changes are on the way. Some of these include revisions to the Animal Control Ordinance, new intake procedures, expanding the existing cat kennels, longer adoption hours, and much more.
By the time that we're done doing everything that they recommended, I'm hoping that our live release rate is increased. Our goal is to get over 80% live release rate. Our goal is to make sure we have policies and procedures in place for every area of our shelter. Our goal is to make sure all the animals that are adoptable have the opportunity to be adopted.
While there is much more work to be done over the next couple of years, change is already happening.
It's amazing just watching everything that's happening, watching all the adoptions that we're having at the shelter, watching the teams come together, watching the volunteers, every time the animal gets adopted, it's very heartwarming, I guess.